to tell you about the day I left Ghana. I was 17 years old. I had a scholarship. I had a dream, and I had $110 in my pocket. That was everything I had. The flight was KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines. Accra to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Minneapolis. I had flown before within Africa, so I wasn't completely new to planes. But this was different. This was crossing an ocean. This was leaving behind everything I have ever known. I remember sitting in that seat and looking out the window as Ghana disappeared below me. My sponsor, Mr. Kwame Ofosu-Bafo, have carefully planned the trip. He could have sent me through New York, through DC, or through Miami, but he didn't. He sent me through Minneapolis. He knew I was young. He knew it was my first time in America. He knew that New York or DC would swallow a 17-year-old boy from Northridge whole. Minneapolis was quieter, more manageable. A gentle entry into a country that was nothing like home. That was Mr. Bamford thinking ahead of me, even when I didn't know I needed it. When the plane touched down in Minneapolis, I walked through those doors into America for the first time. I stopped. Everything was clean. I mean, everything. In Ghana, there was dust everywhere, on the roads, on the cars, in the air. It was just a part of life. Here, nothing. The floors were clean, the air smelled fresh, everything smelled different. I saw the buses that took us from the plane to customs. I had never seen anything like that in my entire life. And then I saw the taxis, the Crown Victorias, row after row of Crown Victorias. You have to understand something. In Ghana, a Crown Victoria is a rich man's car. It's a private car. Someone with a Crown Victoria keeps it for themselves. They do not put them in a taxi line. Here they were everywhere, just sitting there waiting, available to anyone. I stood there and looked at those cars and thought, this place is something entirely. I had $110 in my pocket, as I mentioned earlier. The first thing I needed to do was to call my brother Isaac and let him know that I have landed and cleared customs. I found a payphone. I had never dialed an American number before. First the area code, then the number. It took me several trials to figure it out how to dial correctly. By the time I got through to Isaac, the call had cost me $10. $10 gone just like that. I had $100 left. I didn't want to call anyone again until I reached Albuquerque, because these calls were getting expensive. From Minneapolis, I flew to Dallas, from Dallas to Albuquerque, New Mexico. When I landed in Albuquerque, Isaac was waiting for me. He didn't have a car, but he had a girlfriend named Shana. Shana drove him in her car to the airport to pick me up. I remember seeing my brother's face in that arrival hall. For the first time since leaving Accra, I felt safe. He took me home and he cooked Ghanaian rice and stew. After hours of airport food, airplane food, and everything unfamiliar, my brother put a plate of Ghanaian rice and stew in front of me. I didn't have the words to describe what that felt like. He didn't ask me anything. He didn't make a speech. He just cooked. That is brotherly love. Simple and complete. That night, he called Mesa Airlines. He booked my ticket to Roswell, New Mexico, leaving the next morning. It cost $50. He paid for it himself out of his own pocket, and he never asked me for that money, not even once. I lay in Isaac's house that night with head full of mixed emotions. Happy to be in America, grateful to be here, but also aware that tomorrow I was leaving The one familiar face I had found in this country. I was leaving my comfort zone again. First, my country, then everything I had known for all 17 years of my life, then Isaac, and I was heading into a place called Roswell, New Mexico, alone. The next morning, Shana drove us back to the airport. I said goodbye to Isaac and Shana, got on a small Mesa airline regional plane, and flew to Roswell. When the plane landed in Roswell, I looked out the window. Roswell, New Mexico, dry, flat, desert-like. I had come from a tropical rainforest, green everywhere, humid and alive, to this place that looked like the surface of another planet. Dry, dilapidated, like the color had been drained out of everything. I felt nervous and overwhelmed, and somewhere in the back of my mind, a small voice whispered, "What have you done?" Standing at the airport was a man I've never met. Tall, firm, former American footballer, former U.S. Marine. He extended his hand and shook mine hard. His name was Major Gene Hardman. From the moment I looked at him, I understood that this man was not going to go easy on me. You could just tell from his handshake. You could also tell from his last name as well. He looked at me in the eye and said, "I'm your coach, not your friend." I didn't fully understand what that meant yet, but I was about to find out. We put my bags in his car and drove to campus, New Mexico Military Institute. And for the next 2 years, that campus was going to change everything about who I was. Next week, I'm going to take you inside those gates. The gates of Hagam and Gadbox, to the 6 a.m. formation, the cadet store, the cotton balls, and the roommate on crutches who taught me something I have never forgotten. This is The Promise, Episode 3, The Journey.